Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yasodanandana Prajajanaranja Yasodanandana Prajajanaranja Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vranda ki, Antaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Vyasadev ki, Guru Parampara ki, Bhaktivedanta purports ki, Natai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 25, the characteristics of King Puranjana. Text number 7. Narada Uvacha. Bo. What's that? BHO, Bo. Bo, Boho, Prajapate Rajan. Bo, Bo, Prajapate Rajan. Pasun, Pasya, Tvayad, Vare. Samgya Pitan Jiva Sangan. Nirgrirena Nirgrinena Sahas Rasaha. Narada Uvacha. The great sage Narada replied, Bobo. Hello. Really? Prajapate, O ruler of the citizens. Rajan, O king. Pasun, animals. Pasya, please see. Tvaya, by you. Advare, in the sacrifice. Samgya Pitan, killed. Jiva Sangan, groups of animals. Nirgrinena, without pity. Sahasrasaha, in thousands. Translation and purport. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Translation. The great saint Narada said, O ruler of the citizens, my dear king, please see in the sky those animals which you have sacrificed without compassion and without mercy in the sacrificial arena. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Because animal sacrifice is recommended in the Vedas, there are animal sacrifices in almost all religious rituals. However, one should not be satisfied simply by killing animals according to the directions of the scriptures. One should transcend the ritualistic ceremonies and try to understand the actual truth, the purpose of life. Narada Muni wanted to instruct the king about the real purpose of life and invoke a spirit of renunciation in his heart. Knowledge and the spirit of renunciation, jnana, vairagya, are the ultimate goal of life. Without knowledge, one cannot become detached from material enjoyment. And without being detached from material enjoyment, one cannot make spiritual advancement. Karmis are generally engaged in sense gratification, and for this end, they are prepared to commit so many sinful activities. Animal sacrifice is but one such sinful activity. Consequently, by his mystic power, Narada Muni showed King Prachina Bahisat the dead animals which he had sacrificed. Om Agyana Atimirandasya Agyananjana Shalakaya Chakshudun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Several years ago, I was hearing one class from a disciple of Srila Prabhupada in Juhu, Mumbai temple, Shri Shri Radharasa Bihari Mandir. So that particular devotee, I forget his name, that particular devotee was coming into India after many years. So they asked him to give class. So he was explaining that at one time Srila Prabhupada was quite sick, and the body was not allowing him to even sort of do his translation work. He was very sick. And he was in the Los Angeles temple. So many of the leading devotees, GBC members, sannyasis and temple presidents, they collectively approached Srila Prabhupada, came to Los Angeles for that purpose. And they told Srila Prabhupada, you're getting sick. Srila Prabhupada didn't respond. He was just hearing them. He said, you are getting sick, and part of your poor health and being practically indisposed and you cannot do your translation work is because you are taking so much risk in initiating the devotees, and some of them, after being initiated, were leaving back to their old ways of breaking the regulative principles. So they implored Srila Prabhupada that he should stop initiating and take sufficient rest and recuperate with some medicine until he gets his health together, then he can continue that service. So they was waiting for Srila Prabhupada's response, but he didn't really say anything about their request. But he just made one statement. He said, at least I know that even after I initiate them, and some of them are leaving, at least I know that they are not eating meat. So one of the leading book distributors, Prabhupada named him Pragosh. It's a disciple of Prabhupada. He was a leading book distributor, still is to some extent. So he was there and he was hearing this. So after Prabhupada, he temporarily stopped initiating, he acceded to the request. So he left Los Angeles and he came to Chicago, and he was distributing books in the airport. And the name of the airport is a very nice name. It's O Hare Airport. They say O Hare. O and H-A-R-E. So one devotee was joking, they should just add the word Krishna there and be okay. But you can't really get it done. So Prakash Prabhu was distributing books in the airport, and he saw another person, but he saw the eyes of the person and he realized that that was a devotee, but because he had a full beard. So he approached him, and that devotee who was initiated by Prabhupada and subsequently left. He tried to run away from him in the airport. But somehow Prakash caught hold of him and said, "Then why are you avoiding me? You initiated by Prabhupada." So then Prakash told that devotee, who left, who fell away again. He said, Prabhupada said this. Prabhupada said, at least he knows that you, although you left him, but you are not eating meat. Then the devotee who left asked Prakash, how does Prabhupada know that? He said, why didn't you come to Los Angeles and ask him? It's true, right? You're not eating meat. He said, no, I will never do that. So the devotee came back to Los Angeles, like that. And somehow Prabhupada heard about it, and he wanted to meet Prabhupada to ask him this question. How does he know that although I left, but I'm not eating meat? How does he know that? Like that. So eventually the devotees allowed him to get Prabhupada's darshan. He still had his beard, like that. So he asked Prabhupada the question, how did you know? Like that. He said, most of my initiated disciples, even if they leave me, they won't go back to that. They won't eat meat. Like that. And then Srila Prabhupada said something like, you may be initiated by me, you're not following the principles now, but you're following one principle, you're not eating meat. So before you came to me, you were eating meat. But now, after you came to me, at least you're still following one regulative principle. So the devotee started crying because he realized that Prabhupada is still keeping the connection, although he's not following his vows correctly. So here, Narada Muni is in a similar situation with King Prachina Bahisat. Narada Muni is not really preaching to the king prior to this. But this king has admitted that he doesn't know what the ultimate goal of life is and is entangled in fruitive activities. And on his own accord, the king approached the king. Sometimes it says in the short form, Bahisat, but the full name is Prachina Bahisat. So this king on his own accord approached Narada Muni. And he admitted that he is engaged in karma kanda or fruitive activities, which includes animal sacrifice. He admitted it. Like that. So based on that, Narada Muni is speaking this verse and subsequent verses to help him. So in the same way, that devotee was at the airport, Pragosh, and he told the other devotee who left the practices. And that devotee came on his own accord to Prabhupada. Like that. So later on, Prabhupada told his secretaries or servant, he said, he came back to me on his own accord because I cannot force anyone to surrender. Because there's no question of forcing people to do things. Then Srila Prabhupada made the point to the same devotee who Pragosh Prabhu met at the airport. He said, so the devotee asked Prabhupada, can I come back and stay in the temple? So Prabhupada said, no. You should shave your beard first. You should cut your hair short. And if you agree to follow the principles and engage in active service, then you can stay in the ashram. But you cannot stay in the ashram and do what you want to do. So the devotee took some time and he surrendered again. And then he left again. Like that. Because living in the ashram means surrender to, you could say in one sense, Prabhupada sometimes likened the people living in the ashram like living in the ashram of the guru. It's like a type of gurukula, but living in the ashram of the guru. And for us, the principal guru for everyone in ISKCON temples is Srila Prabhupada himself. And Srila Prabhupada made it very clear that you cannot break the principles while living in the temple. At the same time, you cannot do what you want to do because we have a collective community spirit where we have to serve the deity and we also have to serve the mission of Krishna consciousness. So there's cooperation necessary. You know, if the cooperation is not there, then the principles to follow while living in the temple will become substandard and everyone will be independent but not interdependent in helping each other as the whole to please Srila Prabhupada. So he made that point. It's a fact that even when people come to Krishna consciousness and then they leave, very few may go back to eating meat, but most of them will remain like that. Srila Prabhupada himself made the point when he was, it's in the science of civilization to some extent, but the more details been given by the devotee who was present there. When Srila Prabhupada was having a conversation with Cardinal Daniel, it's in the science of civilization. He was harping on the point with the Cardinal. I think this happened in Paris, in France. He was harping on the point, always keeping to the same point. Prabhupada said, the Bible says, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not kill. Like that. But the cardinal, being a big man himself, he didn't agree with that. He said that only refers to not killing human beings. It doesn't include animals. But Prabhupada emphasized the point so much. So later on, Prabhupada commented in a lecture, bringing up his name and bringing up names of other people also, that they have big positions in the material world, even religiously, but they don't understand common sense. That compassion comes from not killing animals, especially. Like that. So, another time, one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, out of the 4 regulative principles, which is the worst? In other words, meat eating, gambling, intoxication, and illicit activity. I think relative to the devotee's question, Prabhupada said meat eating is the worst. Because when you eat meat, it makes you break the other regulative principles. Makes you break it. Illicit sex life is the opposite. Positive side is cleanliness. And meat eating, the opposite side is compassion. And the positive side of gambling is truthfulness. And the positive side of intoxication is austerity. Yes. So if somebody can simply be convinced just to become at least vegetarian, then the other 3 regulative principles is much easier to follow. It's much easier to follow. So that is what Narada Muni is emphasizing to King Prachinabhisa, that your fruitive activity mainly is focused on this animal killing. And sometimes Shri Radharanath ki, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Sometimes devotees ask me the question personally, is it good to take soya products? So I said, I don't know, because I don't take soya. At one time we used to take, when we were younger or something, but I said, there's no need to for practicing devotees. I just give that question, there's no need. Because I mentioned 2 points why there's no need. In the Gaudiya Vaishnava culture, there's no such thing as soya. And in Goloka Vrindavan, there's no soya. So, in the purport here, Srila Prabhupada says, a knowledge and spirit of renunciation, jnana vairagya, the ultimate goal of life. Without knowledge, one cannot become detached from material enjoyment. And without being detached from material enjoyment, one cannot make a spiritual advancement. For a little simple thing like soya, why you want to be attached to something that will keep you back in the material world? Because if you want the culture, if one wants the culture of Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj, and he wants a culture of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Pancha Tattva. That is not there. So if one is attached to still eating soya, then you have to take birth again, because that's not the culture of the spiritual nature. So then somebody will ask the question, which has happened before, but Maharaj, they sell soya in Govindas. Of course, they're selling not for you. They're selling to people to give up meat and take to this product, which is like an alternative strange taste that they can still taste some type of meat or something like that. So it is important that if you want to go to Golok Vrindavan or enter into Mahaprabhu Lila, there's a culture that they have followed and we follow that. Now, you ever heard of Srila Prabhupada taking soya? So follow the founder Acharya. It's a simple thing. One little attachment makes you take birth again. Like that. Because that agitates the mind and senses. Eating soya agitates the mind and senses. One nutritionist devotee, she told me in Mumbai, I just asked her the question about soya. I said, I don't take soya, but I said, can you tell me this benefit of this? She said, soya takes 3 days to digest in the stomach, because the digestive enzymes of the human being cannot handle it. It takes 3 days to break it down, especially that heavy stuff. Then she said that we recommend people take tofu instead of that soya. So tofu gives you more nutrition and it's more soluble and it digests better if you're sick, if you want that type of thing. But eating soya is just sense gratification. Anyone knows that. You disagree? Even the taste, right? That's all. So eventually, as the body gets older, you'll realize you don't eat for the tongue. You have to eat for the stomach. Then you know you're in control. You don't eat for the tongue, you eat for the stomach. So this is, this jnana vairagya is helpful for that. If you know the benefits of not taking it and the benefits of taking alternative things, then you won't be attached to it. You'll just become detached. Because detachment is being more attached to actually sattvic prasad in terms of going back home, back to Goloka Vrindavan. You have any comments or questions? Ujjwala? Harish, you eat soya? You eat every day? When last you ate soya? 2 years ago, 1 year ago? What are you going to do from today? You know it. It's easy, right? See? Just make a commitment. Take more paneer. It's easy. Question? Comments? Microphone.
Hare Krishna, sorry Maharaj. When I turned 64, I partially lost taste for food.
Food?
That's the year I joined the temple.
What's your age now?
68. I'll be 69 shortly.
Young, huh?
I eat, like you said, just for the strength. I do not enjoy food.
Yeah. Usually, when the body gets older, you must eat when you are hungry and you drink when you're thirsty. That makes sense. If you overeat and you overdrink, then the stomach has problems. You can get colon cancer, whatever, because you're pushing something that the body cannot handle. But avoid the soya. It's too much processed. Wherever I train brahmacharis, even here, even to some extent in Mayapur, but more in Vrindavan when I was in charge there as the president, we don't allow this soya stuff. It just agitates the mind and senses for no reason. Especially eating it in the evening, it's the worst thing. Because they can't get up in the morning for Mangalat. So it's important to follow the culture of Goloka Vrindavan and the culture of the Gaudiya Vaishnava culture, as given to us by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, who was a Gaudiya Vaishnava.
It's purely commercialism, soya.
No, it's purely sense gratification.
So you get soya fish, soya prawn. Some devotees are cooking it.
They use those words. Fish and prawn means meat, right? So, it tastes like this. It's crazy. Tongue, So, vacha vegam, manasa krodha vegam, and jiva vegam. So, vacha means to speak or vibrate the tongue. And jiva vegam means the same tongue is used to taste. But if you cannot control the tongue by the taste, then the words become different. It becomes materialistic words. What you eat, you are what you eat, and that's the way you'll speak. Vibration of the tongue is tasting, and then you speak. Vacha, and then jiva vegam means eating. So it's the first, not even advice, the first instruction of Srila Rupa Goswami. Control the tongue by eating proper Krishna prasad, and you control the tongue by proper vibration of spiritual vibration in terms of the holy name and Krishna Katha. It affects.
Thanks.
And Rupa Goswami is clear, and he says the tongue, and then it's a straight line, tongue, belly, and reproductive organs. Straight line. So if you control where the thing is entering, the tongue, then everything else is controlled automatically. The belly and the other senses. It's clear. It's there in the first verse of the Nectar of Instruction. He has his hand up. So you turn 64, then you should chant 64 rounds of japa daily. That's good. Something. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I'm concerned about sex desire.
No, you don't have to be concerned about that. You just get married.
I don't want to.
Then you are artificially controlling your senses. Next question. Prabhupada said that to many devotees. Nobody can control that desire. Nobody can control it. In 1966, please sit down. In 1966, one of Prabhupada's first disciples, named Brahmananda Das, No, him. Come here. Come this side. In my bag there's some water. Bring the bottle. Open the cap. In 1966, Srila Prabhupada named Bruce scarf, and his name is Brahmananda. He said, "Your name is Brahmananda Das," like that. So Brahmananda was still doing his majors in English when he met Prabhupada. He was in some college there. They call it college. So we had one professor like that. So he went to meet the professor, and the professor in the discussion said, so, you become like kind of spiritual because you're talking about this Swamiji, like that. So he asked the professor directly that, can you describe the consciousness of the material world? Brahmananda is asking his professor. Yeah, like that. So the professor said that the whole material world is running on sex desire. So Brahmananda Prabhu came back to Prabhupada and he explained his talk with his professor, and eventually the professor said that the whole material world is running on sex desire. Prabhupada said, your professor is right. See? So we don't give up a sex desire, even for sannyasis. Prabhu, sit this side. Sit. See, that's called sex desire. See, he was sitting this side. How old he is, sitting with the ladies. You can easily see there's men here. Naughty. You're naughty, right? Now you notice, right? Yeah, it's okay. Next time be careful. Yeah. So, Prabhupada said something like, if you're fully engaged in devotional service, fully engaged, not on the physical or sensual platform, not on the emotional or mental platform, and not on the philosophical or intellectual platform, then you don't attract this desire to agitate you. Because you're completely on the spiritual platform. Like that. So when Prabhupada was explaining like that, one disciple asked Srila Prabhupada, it's not possible. It's not possible. Prabhupada said, maybe for you, but not for me. Like that. Then Srila Prabhupada is in compassionate nature. Yeah. He said, in order for you to overcome that, you should learn the art of serving Vaishnavas. And then if you want to overcome it internally, then you should learn the art of serving the devotees without discrimination. See? So when we serve the devotees, whether they're junior or senior, it doesn't matter, they're devotee, then this thing will not bother one so much. It will not bother one so much. Then Srila Prabhupada another time said, in order to overcome that in a natural way, you have to go out on book distribution. You have to go out on Harinam Sankirtan. And you have to go out on Prasadam distribution. Because when you see how the people are suffering due to the desire, you don't want to suffer like that when you preach. So there are two things. And then Srila Prabhupada told one of his earlier disciples from England, who was having that difficulty, but later on he took sannyas. And then after he took sannyas, and he gave up his sannyas, and he's still a good devotee today. And he doesn't mind me telling his name. His name is Prabhu Vishnu Das. One of Prabhupada's earliest disciples in England. Like that. So he also had the difficulty as a brahmachari. He didn't really marry, but then he took sannyas, and then he left his sannyas, and he didn't marry, but something happened. Like that. So when he was speaking to me, he said, I had that difficulty and I approached Srila Prabhupada. Then Srila Prabhupada sort of told him two things. Then Srila Prabhupada said, you must go to preach in countries where there's no material comfort. Because material comfort brings sense gratification and sex desire, even in devotee community. Like that. So after he took sannyas, he focused on two places to preach. He focused on Bangladesh and Nepal. See? And he was GBC member also. But then he told me, personally he told me, I said, no, I'd like to learn because I'm a sannyasi. You were a sannyasi, what happened? So maybe I can learn from your experience to be careful. That's why I asked him. He said, no, when I started becoming GBC for Thailand and Indonesia and these places, sense gratification is like horrible. Yeah. So that's why he became spiritually weak. Like that. And then he told me something that Srila Prabhupada told him. He said, in order to overcome this sex desire, he said, Srila Prabhupada told him that when you go out to preach, because he's from England, he's an Englishman. Like that. He said, when you go out to preach, Prabhupada coined this because of his consciousness, because he joined in England and he's born in England. Prabhupada said, when you go out to preach, you must preach with the courage of an English gentleman. That means fearless. At one time, the British Empire was 1/3 of the world because they were fearless. I mean, they conquered India also, which is huge. Yeah. And then Prabhupada added, he said, but when you come into the association of devotees, then you have to have the heart of a Bengali mother. Because they're very soft and compassionate. Now, when I asked him the second part, we can understand that you have to be fearless on the field to preach, the courage of an English gentleman, because he's from England. So I asked him, what's this about the heart of a Bengali mother? What is that? He said, usually mother, because Prabhupada is from West Bengal, he said Bengali mother. It could be any mother, he said, told me that. He said, but a mother, a genuine, cultured mother, not some person who apparently has some children and don't take care of the children. That's not what she doesn't fit the definition and description of mother. He said that a mother will always serve the child. And a mother will always serve the family members, including the father of the family. She said when you come to the association of devotees, you have to serve the devotees. Just like a mother will serve the child. Like that. And then this thing, this sense gratification, sex desire will not come near you. It will be far. But if you're lazy and you're crazy, that's not going to happen. You'll over on the mental platform, not even on the philosophical, intellectual platform, you'll lose your common sense. See? Like that. Then I give the example of how this thing won't attack you. Sex life and sense gratification attacks everyone in the material world. There's advertisement for it, there's money for it, there's everything for it. That's the material world. It is based on that. All activities, work, job, advertisement, TV, internet is based on this thing. From subtle to gross. It's based on that. You can't avoid it. Yeah. Like that. So, but when you start serving the devotees without discrimination, and when you start genuinely feeling some affection for the devotees, then you'll become free from exploitation and abuse. If you don't become free from exploitation and abuse, then you'll be attacked by sex life. Because some motivation is there. Some material desires are there. I'll give you 2 examples from Srila Prabhupada about this. Srila Prabhupada was giving Srimad Bhagavatam class. Yeah. So, she's a famous devotee, but we don't know her very well. I forget her name. What you call this thing? Like the ladies, they go for competition, they win beauty, something. Huh? Yeah. So she became the, what they say, queen or something? Princess. No. She's from France. Not Mandikini. No. She won that thing, She won it in France. So after she became number 1 in France, then she became a devotee. I forget her name. She was also in our Back to Godhead magazine like 30, 40 years ago. I forget her name. Not Sarah D or something, anyway. You're getting the point, right? Yeah. So she came a little late for Srimad Bhagavatam class. Class was in progress. Prabhupada was giving class. Like that. So what she did was, she's a bit bold because, like that. She walked through the devotees where the Matajis were, on one side, and she came and sat right in the front. Like on one side were the Matajis, but in front of Prabhupada. So she entered the room and she walked like that. Now, everyone knew from the external point of view, the bodily conception of life, she's like stunningly beautiful. Everyone knew that, externally like that. So she walked and she came to the front like that. Now everyone's looking at Prabhupada. Right? So Prabhupada's, while he's speaking, Prabhupada's eyes went to her and Prabhupada's eyes followed her. And when she sat down, Prabhupada saw her sitting down. And then while speaking his lecture, not missing a beat in his lecture, and she sat down. Like that. So Prabhupada, the devotees in the temple room, they're watching Prabhupada, watching her. They're looking at her, looking at Prabhupada, looking at her. Why is Prabhupada like looking at us so sternly, and coming and sitting there? Because she catches people's attention. You getting it? Yeah, externally, basically. So Prabhupada paused. Wait. I'm speaking. So Prabhupada paused. And Prabhupada looked at her like that. And Prabhupada said, you all see her for your sense gratification. And Prabhupada said, and I see her for Krishna's sense gratification. So it's not a question of becoming free from this. It's a question of how you dovetail what you see for Krishna's pleasure. That's all. And that's not so easy. Prabhupada can say like that, but it's not so easy. So it's very, very, very important that if you want to really be free from this thing, you have to become really, humble servant of the devotees especially. You have to really, really be that. Then you'll be protected. I can give you the other example. You want it? Other example. Okay, then we'll end with that, right? Yeah. No, he's just with us now. Make sure he gets a lot of prasad. You came hungry, right? No, you have to eat. You have something. Sweet is enough. We'll give you a little more just now, okay? Yeah. I'll say this one last thing. What was it? Yeah. So one devotee, he was really being attacked by this thing, by this sex life. He took the vows, got initiated, and so forth. He really getting attacked like that. So Prabhupada was with his secretary. Maybe it was Nanda Kumar Prabhu, secretary. He's late now. Yeah. So he was in the room. So this devotee pushed his way through, through the secretaries, and he came right in front of Prabhupada. And he took his beads, his beads, initiation beads, and he put it in front of Prabhupada. So Prabhupada looked at him. He didn't say anything. So Nanda Kumar Prabhu is saying, why? What you doing? Prabhupada, you got initiated. Why are you returning the beads? Like that. So he told, I can't tell Prabhupada, but can you tell him? I want to leave. So then Prabhupada, not speaking directly to him, to Nanda Kumar Prabhu, he said, ask him why he wants to leave. Because he's afraid to see Prabhupada's eyes. He's afraid. He said, no, I am attached to sex life. I have to go back to the material world. Like that. So, first thing Prabhupada said to him, because he said, at least you had the decency to come and tell me you are leaving. Normally others, they just leave. You have improved. Even a little thing like that is like so big for Prabhupada, that at least you had the decency to come and tell me you're leaving. That means you have improved. This devotee got shocked. Like that. See? And slowly his hand went back to Prabhupada's low table, and he took his beads and his bead bag, he took it back. And he never left. Then Prabhupada arranged for one of his other daughters to marry him, and that's it, This type of, consciousness of the Prabhupada, to see like that, not so easy thing, Yeah. Another time, Prabhupada was sitting in his room, but he had his big windows. I don't know which temple, but he could see outside into the main street. People are busy walking up and down, going here, there, everywhere. So another devotee, that was the main problem, this sex life thing. So another devotee came to Prabhupada and he said, Prabhupada, I have to go. I can't. He told Prabhupada, even if I get married, I'll be irresponsible. I won't be a good husband, and so on, I have to go. Now, Prabhupada was angry with him. So Prabhupada said, you want to leave? He said, yes, Prabhupada. He said, go to the window. He went to the window. He said, you see on the street? He said, yes, I see people. He said, how many women you see? He said, I only see women. I see the men, but my eyes go to them, the women. He's admitting, right? The Prabhupada said, you want to do that? Now leave now. Go pick one. Go pick one. Go. It's like that. Pick one. He was shocked. Prabhupada, you're telling me to actually do it? You came to tell me that you want to do it. I'm telling you, go and pick one. Like that. So he said, but Prabhupada, why are you telling me like this? Prabhupada says, it is that damn cheap. It is that damn cheap. He said, almost everyone is prostitute. It is that damn cheap. You want to be one of them like that? Go. It is that damn cheap. And Prabhupada told him like that because you have to compare the value of Krishna consciousness to all these cheap things in the material world. It's that damn cheap. It's easily available. So Prabhupada is telling him, in other words, the devotee was recapping, he said, Prabhupada was telling him that the sense gratification is easily available, and Prabhupada just say, even for the hogs and dogs. It's easily available, right? It's even for the hogs and dogs. So how come something is so cheap, you want to run back to? There's no value. It's cheap. Low class. See? And then Prabhupada hit him with a big word. He said, you want to go back to the filth of the material world? Filth. That really shook him up. He never left. Stayed, got married, now he's a grandfather. Okay. But it's all based on Vaishnava Seva. We need mercy of devotees. Not that somebody who's junior you cannot serve them. Only serve senior. It doesn't work like that. Vaishnavas without discrimination. Okay, breakfast है महाप्रसादी गोविंद शिल प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की अंतराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की ताई गौर प्रेमानंदे